Fatigue doesn't create limits. It reveals the ones you've been living under. That's the facts. Beautiful souls. Hello, hello, hello. This is Finish Strong Friday, and you are listening to The Sweet Spot. I'm Dr. Derek Sweet. I'm your host. As you know, I'm a board-certified psychiatrist. I work with high performers, elite performers, and guess what? More than that, I am your partner, your soulmate here on the journey, on this incredible journey that we're taking through the mystery we call life. So we've been in an incredible series this week. It's been an incredible series. We're calling this series What to Do with Pressure. Not just what to do with it, but who you become after pressure, more precisely. Who you become after pressure. And this episode is called Carrying Strength Without Hardening. How do you carry strength without becoming hard? Without letting fatigue ruin your flexibility? Fatigue reveals what pressure has been teaching you all along. Fatigue reveals what the limits are. It doesn't create them. It reveals the ones we've been living under. My beautiful soul, my sweet spotter, my sweet champ, and my sweet winner. Let's review what's been happening all week with this series, Who You Become After Pressure. Monday, Making Moves Monday, we said pressure changes your identity. Yes, pressure forms diamonds. It takes carbon. Remember, we talked about that carbon that's under the earth. And when it encounters pressure, it changes just like you change. And on Take Action Tuesday, we said you don't need clarity to move. That's a mistake. You need to move, and then you'll find clarity if you move with alignment. Check that out. Wednesday, Win It All Wednesday, we said winning can look different if you don't just focus on outcomes. And yesterday we talked about trust, didn't we? We said that it gets cleaner the more discerning you are, and especially when you've looked at patterns over just looking at what you hope for. Make sure you check that out too. Today we find ourselves about what happens when your energy drops, because guess what, beautiful souls? Energy does drop. You do get tired. You do get fatigued. And sometimes people think that fatigue means that they've failed, that they've messed up. That's not really true. What fatigue means is that you found a truth. It's not weakness. It's not laziness. It's not a character flaw. Fatigue is just your nervous system saying, hey, Dr. Sweet, I can't carry what I used to carry the same way anymore. Dude, I'm tired. That's me talking to me, right? And here's the part that people miss. Fatigue doesn't show up at the beginning of pressure, as we said in our other series, The Ceilings You Can't See. Fatigue doesn't show up at the beginning of pressure. You know when it shows up? Late, when the adrenaline wears off, when the urgency fades, when the urgency is no longer there. It shows up when the performance ends and the body finally gets a chance to speak. That's why so many people stall at the end of something and not at the start. Oh, at the beginning, everybody is a champion. Everybody's got game. Everybody's got all this energy. But let the duration, the obstacles, the challenge, the mountain climb is where you really separate who's going to finish and who's not. It's easy at the bottom of the mountain, but when you get up there with the harsh winds and the elements and all of the setbacks that come with a mountain climb, not everybody's going to finish. Many people are going to stall. And that's what today is all about. Today is all about how are we going to finish? What does pressure have to do with finishing? Yeah. Let's talk about the science for a moment, because that matters. Here on The Sweet Spot, we are blending science, soul, and success, always. Under prolonged pressure, your nervous system runs on stress chemistry, adrenaline, and cortisol. Go mode. That chemistry is not bad chemistry, it's useful. Temporarily. You don't want these things running through you all the time. And that's what stress is all about. That's what overactive nervous systems are all about. Too much adrenaline, too much cortisol, too much hyperactivation of your HPA axis. But I digress. When your stress hormones stay elevated or your neurotransmitters stay elevated too long, the body does something super intelligent. You can't mess with the body. The body is going to do things. It's not going to ask you either. It's just going to do it. The body downshifts when it realizes that you've been under too much stress. Your motivation feels lower. Your energy feels flatter. Tolerance gets thin. You narrow your focus on things. You just don't want to do as much anymore because you need the break. Not because you're weak, but because your system is trying to protect you from the long-term damage. That's not the body betraying you, my friend. That's your body telling you the truth. The danger isn't the fatigue. We treat fatigue like it's danger. No. The danger is interpreting fatigue as some kind of failure, like something is wrong. It's actually telling you it's great information. And what better day than Finish Strong Friday to look at fatigue as information? Here's the trap. Here's where people split. Some people respond to fatigue by hardening up. They say, I'll just push through. I'll grind. I'll stop feeling anything. I'm just going to shut it down and finish. And I'm going to push through. You know what? Even as I'm saying this, I can feel my arteries just like tightening up. My body is tight. Like I'm in grind mode. Not great. So some people, they harden, they grind. You know what happens to other people? They just collapse. They just say, hey, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I don't have what it takes. And they just collapse. And guess what? Both extremes are not great. There's a third way to handle fatigue, and it's maybe a bit more quiet. Before I even tell you what that is, let's look at the ancient scriptures. Let's look at the ancient wisdom. Because scripture has a way of giving us revelation so that we can grasp what we need today. Scripture names this moment with surprising clarity that I'm about to share. Think about Elijah in the Bible, right? He had just come off. He was like a bad dude. Like he was the prophet. He could do all kinds of things, call down fire from heaven, the whole nine. Elijah was just coming off one of his hugest wins. Fire from heaven, victory, proof, showing the power of God. And you know what? Like most high-level performers, or whatever you want to call this, his pressure, all of that caught up with him. He runs away, he collapses, he wants out. The Message Bible, I'm sorry, KJV, I'm getting there. The Message Bible says Elijah went a day's journey into the wilderness after that big episode where he showed all of God's power and came to a broom bush, collapsed in its shade, and wanted in on death. That's in 1 Kings 19 verse 4. Think about that. He has this big victory. He's doing really great. He expends all that energy. And now he's like, oh my God, I'm done. I'm so exhausted. It says right there, wanted in on death. This is not the same Elijah at the beginning of the pressure. This is not the same Elijah that called down the fires from heaven and showed the power of God. This is Elijah after pressure. This is post-pressure Elijah. Have you ever been in a situation where after you've done a big thing, a big performance, a big game, a big presentation, maybe it was a big party, anything that was huge, and that feeling after it's done, you do great, you do fantastic work, and then after it's all done, you're not worth a penny. You're just zonked. Maybe it was a huge exam. I remember after my board exam, sometimes I would just be like a bag of bones lying on the ground. I'm so tired. I studied so hard. That's where Elijah was when it says he wanted in on death. That's a big deal. That's a big deal to be that tired, to be that exhausted. Yeah. That's post-victory fatigue. And guess what? God has to come in and talk to this dude. God has to find him and give him some help. What does God do? Not a speech. God doesn't reprimand him. Doesn't say, hey, you slacker, get up. No pep talk. No, come on, man, you can do this. No. You know what God does? God is the ultimate recovery expert. He gives him what? Sleep. A couple of times. Puts him to sleep. Then after that, he gives him what? Food. You got to read it yourself. It's really cool. And then after that, he gives him some more rest. And only after he's done this recovery work does he then ask him a question. Because homeboy, okay, Elijah was in a cave. Like, he went to his cave. Have you ever gone to your cave? Have you ever been in a cave? Put yourself in that isolated space? I know I have that dark little room where you just want to be like, oh my God, alone. The order in which God, what am I sharing? There's a sequence. Remember we were talking about, it's not about speed, it's about sequence. We've been drilling that in when we're talking about pressure. Don't respond fast. Respond with a sequence. And God responded to this dude with a sequence. He gave him a sequence, and the order matters. Elijah did not get direction until his system was stable. Fatigue didn't disqualify him. It just told the truth about his limits. So I don't judge him for that. And God was listening. God listened. That was the first thing God did. God was like, what's going on with you? Why are you here? Why are you in this cave? And you think God didn't know? Of course God knew why he was in the cave. But this was just to hear him talk. Let it out. And you know, God is modeling, the Most High models for us a sequence and the importance of listening. God did not ask Elijah to be stronger. He helped him recover and find his strength. That is not indulgence. That is wisdom. That is wisdom. And that's where finishing strong gets misunderstood, right? Finishing strong doesn't mean hardening. It doesn't mean numbing out. It doesn't mean ignoring what your body and mind are telling you. This ancient wisdom took note of that and slowed down enough to talk about food and nutrition and rest and recovery. That's important stuff. I think that's really cool. Talk about managing post-victory fatigue or post-event fatigue, receiving quiet care from the Most High, letting the divine energy re-anchor your identity and purpose so you don't quit. Yeah. You see, Elijah wins the ultimate spiritual showdown, then he crashes into a cave. That's what I saw in the ancient wisdom. And then the Most High, Almighty, the Divine One, meets him there in the cave. Not to shame him, but to reset him. He saw the pressure. So, yeah, he reset him so he could what? Finish strong in his calling. And that's the same pattern. Remember, we talked about patterns. That's the same pattern God wants for us. That's the same divine order after our big wins or our big disappointments. You see, you won't be left in the cave. You're met in the cave. You're met in the darkness. And you're going to be led back to your mission. But you've got to take care of the body you're in. You've got to rest. God gives rest, truth, and companionship. Wow, God just doesn't rescue him from death. He prepares him to finish his race with integrity, and he'll do the same for you. All right, maybe it's not God for you. Whatever works for you, whatever your belief is, whatever your higher power is, your higher purpose, whatever that is, you need that to finish the race. You don't just finish the race on your own, because in the human body we're living in, it gets tired, it gets depleted. And that's the science, right? You push up the adrenaline, you push up the cortisol, you're riding high. What do you think is going to happen neurologically or physiologically when those neurotransmitters and hormones drop in your body? Your body reads it like a drop in energy, and you feel exhausted and zonked physically. Not the best time to make decisions. Don't let pressure make that your identity. Recover. For the athletes and performers listening out there, do the recovery. It's in the ancient wisdom. And for everyone else, the rest of us who are not maybe elite athletes, take the time to rest. Take the time to rest and finish strong so you can finish strong. Don't let fatigue change you into a new identity that just quits. That's the whole idea here. This is where finish strong gets misunderstood. It doesn't mean hardening. It doesn't mean numbing out. It could look like keeping your integrity when you're tired, staying kind when it would be easier to get like edgy and get frosty. Maybe not doing that. Holding your boundaries instead of just collapsing them because you're tired and using that as a slick excuse to like do things that you know you shouldn't be doing. Oh, I'm so tired, whatever. No, that does not work. Or doing, sometimes finishing strong can look like, just do fewer things, but do them clean. Do less, but do it with integrity. That's strength without armor. So, my friends, as we tie up this Finish Strong Friday, here's the move. When fatigue shows up, don't ask what's wrong with me, what's going on here. Ask this instead. What is this fatigue protecting me from? That's the question. I'll say it again. What is this fatigue protecting me from? Do you know how many of us don't ask that question when we feel fatigue? We just push through. We ignore it. We grind on it. Ask yourself, though, because it changes everything. Once your prefrontal cortex hears this question, it changes everything. It shifts you from self-attack to self-understanding. It calms the nervous system. It helps you respond instead of reacting because you've asked yourself a question. It's why the Most High God asked Elijah in the cage, "What are you doing here?" It's why he asked Adam in the garden, "Hey, where are you?" These are questions to help your prefrontal cortex kind of think and reorganize and reset itself. Ask yourself the question. Don't just say, "Hey, I'm fatigued, I'm really tired." What is it trying to protect me from? Once your prefrontal cortex gets that, once your brain understands that, it's going to help reveal to you what you need to do. Sometimes when you ask that question, what is it protecting me from? The answer might be overcommitment. The answer might be old expectations. It might be your outdated definition of strength. It might be from you. All right? Okay. So I want you to walk away with this line. Strength that survives pressure doesn't harden. It refines. It just doesn't harden. It gets refined. And your refined strength, my friend, knows when to push and when to pause without quitting. That's refined strength. You're not just going to be a brute. You're going to be refined. You're going to know when to calibrate, how to do this. Yeah. And tomorrow we'll go even deeper into this, because tomorrow is Self-Care Saturday and we're going to talk about rest. Not as recovery from weakness, but as integration. Yeah, we have a whole new perspective on that. Because after pressure, you don't just need to rest and then keep going. You need to rest to become whole. And once you become integrated, you'll make an even better decision. You've been listening to The Sweet Spot, dear friend. If today gave you permission to listen to your fatigue without judging yourself, I want you to subscribe. It's absolutely free. And I want you to share this with someone who you know is grinding or who is quietly pushing, somebody you admire or you observe is just really in it, to let them know that they're good. They're good. They're not failing. They're not losing anything. They're just refining that strength. That's what matters today. And I'll see you tomorrow. This is Dr. Sweet, and you've been listening to The Sweet Spot. Finish strong.